Okay, I want you to notice how when you think about certain things, the frequency either lowers or raises, gets higher inside your body when you think about certain things. And consider this, all day long, you're thinking, right? Are you ever turning your brain off? If you do, please tune in and join my podcast, and let's give some tips on here. Obviously, you can't. It's constantly running. So if you are thinking low frequency thoughts, then you're going to have a low frequency world. Visibly, the matter in your world will be of matching frequency to what it is that you are emitting from yourself. So whatever your thoughts are sending out and permeating out into your environment, they're actually affecting the visible matter in your world. So have you ever considered that what it is that you send out is returned back to you? I imagine you have, because you're listening to this. Now, is there some circumstances in which you think, oh, it's fine, I can think this, I can send it out, and it's not going to be returned back to me? Well, here's the deal. No. The answer is no. That it is constantly the state that you are of frequency that you are emitting from yourself, which is what is being returned to you through the form of visible matter in your life. Now, this is happening moment to moment, second to second. But here's the beautiful part about it, is that it doesn't always necessarily manifest immediately or instantly. It will if you are a very high vibrating spiritual being and you are intentionally wanting to manifest something, and you're doing it in the proper way. It will manifest for you immediately, and it can appear as miraculous. It could appear as a miraculous healing. It could appear as, whatever, just an instant or a quickly manifested manifestation. However, here's the part that is good, that if you currently are not in that super high vibrational state, and you have a lower frequency, it's okay right now, because you're working on it and you're working to change this. And so what you're experiencing, currently right now, whatever lower frequency you're in, and I don't mean that you're in a low frequency. I mean, we want to be at 100% of pure divine alignment. And so let's say that you are at 91%, 92, 93, whatever it happens to be. Maybe you're at 74. Maybe you're just hearing this and you're at 43, whatever. Wherever you're at, whatever it is that you're sending out, whatever frequency, it is going to be returned back to you. It is just a matter of time. Okay, so let me explain this a little more in depth. Okay, so just think about this statement here for a second. I want you to become aware of the words that you use in your daily life and the quality of life that they create for you, and the impact that they make on others, either lifting their moods into peace and joy or leaving them depressed and depleted. This is your this is your consciousness, and the visible matter in this example here is a person that you're affecting. Okay, so I'm going to just read this to you again, and I want you to think about this. I want you to think about it. Become aware of the words that you use in your daily life and the quality of life that it creates for you, and the quality of life that it creates for others, and the impact that it makes on others, either lifting up their mood into peace and joy or leaving them depressed and depleted. So think about yesterday. How many interactions did you have? And what was the impact? So I'm not only speaking about, although we can only deal with ourselves, no one can change us but us. No one can make any changes in our mind, in our consciousness, in our life, except for us. So think about the interactions that you had yesterday. Think about how it felt when you left each of those interactions? Did you feel joyful, energized? Did it feel good? Did the person leave that conversation and feel joyful and good? Or did they leave feeling depressed and depleted? Or did you leave feeling depressed and depleted? Now, I want you to become aware and understand that consciousness, that frequency is consciousness. Every frequency that you're emitting is consciousness. It is the be-all and everything in your experience and your existence. And until you realize how opinions and ideas can either raise or lower the frequency of your vibration of consciousness, you will sit there and be unaware and in ignorance of these protective laws of the universe. Now, I say that they are protective laws because they are. They bring order into chaos. If what you are putting out is going to be returned back to you, then this karmic energetic cycle, which is really just electromagnetism, our thoughts are electrics, and what we put out is returned back to us. This is a process of electromagnetism. But this brings order. These laws of the universe bring order into chaos. Because if what you are putting out, and I said if, but I don't mean it, because what you are putting out eventually is returned back to you. So when people complain about things, they get more things, new things, but more things to complain about. Because the frequency that they're putting out is that of complaint, and therefore things will be brought back round for karma into their existence that is more that they can complain about. And when people use their consciousness force energy to create loving goodness, laughter and joy and harmony and wonderful things in the world, this shall also be returned back to them. What a wonderful universal law. I'm speaking for you a fact of existence. Now here's the deal. People, some people really don't like that. Some people don't like it, and then they're like, you're blaming for this and for that, and you know what? First of all, I don't care what other people think, because I know that I know, because I've experienced it, it's flown through my body, and I help people create healing within them all the time. So I know that these universal laws are real, they're the truth, and they are the basis behind the healings that occur. It is all pure love. So I know that I know, so it doesn't matter what other people have to say about it. But here's the deal. We have these karmic things that are returned back to us, and they are often from previous lives or from the womb. So if you came into this world and you had an abusive mother, first of all, you agreed to this. From the in-between lives hypnosis work that I have done with myself and what I've seen, and then reading books that is very similar and comparable, and it's like, how are we all having this exact same experience of in-between lives? You know, it's gotta be real, because I experienced it way before I ever read a word about it. And what I seen was a group of people, my soul people, sitting around a table and planning coming down here to Earth. And it was like, the couple things that I remember was the few people that were there, which one of them was my ex, and he said, oh, I'll go, I'll do it, you know, no big deal. And it was like really all nonchalant about it, like, oh, no big deal, I'll go and do it. Yeah, no, that's totally fine, I'll sign up for that. And I remember at the time thinking and saying, this is in between lives, saying, yeah, but you have to remember that you're gonna forget everything. You're gonna forget all of it. So it's going to be more difficult than you're thinking about it right now. And he's like, oh, I know, no, it's fine, I don't care, I'll do it. So I believe that we pick our parents, and often these are people who are in our soul group that we have traveled many lifetimes with to learn lessons. And so in this particular life, I chose my father. I don't know the significance of my mother in previous lives. I imagine that she always played a wonderful character because she hasn't ever come up besides this life, but yet I intuitively know that I'm sure she has been part of many, many of my lives. But she's the most wonderful woman on this planet. However, then there was my father, who is now, in my opinion, a very, very wonderful man. But as a child, I did not feel this way. And appropriately so. So here's the deal. Through a past life, through past life regression that I have experienced, and experienced several times, I came to realize, and so this is interesting, you know, if I am regressing somebody back and they happen to go back to a past life, unless of course this is the intention of the session, I've never had somebody go back to the same life more than one time. Never. It's never happened. However, with my own self, I went back to the same one many, many times. Many times it kept coming up. So I was doing a session with my friend Gary one time, and this came up, and he's like, oh, well, let's deal with this right now. There must be something to it. So we go into this past life and realize that there was a man. So I was a native man, and there was a white soldier dude, looked kind of cavalry type attire, but I'm a native man, and this white soldier man kills my only son. So I am filled with rage and revenge, and so I seek and get my revenge, and it was brutal. I got it fivefold what he had done to me. Next thing I see, after I've seen this very detailed revenge that I instigated, next thing I see is myself burning up on this pole that I am tied to. I know this is gruesome. Anyways, and then I pass on. And so then he asked me, Gary, my friend who's directing this session, well, I guess it was prior to this, he said, I want you to look at that soldier's eyes and tell me if you know this person. And I immediately recognized it as my father in this life. And it was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, this might explain why I kind of had this feeling of animosity towards him. One of the reasons. So then anyways, the end of this life, you know, I'm up in the pole, I'm burning, I die, I go up, and I'm up in this space, and he is there, this soldier is there, who is my current father, and we both realize at the same time, like, oh, this was about forgiveness. Oh, I can't believe this. And it was like this feeling of disappointment of like, I failed. You know, I got revenge, and that wasn't what was meant to happen. It was supposed to be forgiveness, but I didn't have enough spiritual growth back then to be able to forgive. So what happens? Okay, well, I need to forgive him because this is something that is karmic. So because I didn't do it in that life, I must do it at some point. So what happens? You live again, and you get to come back here. So what has to happen for me to forgive him? Because of course we have temporary amnesia while we're here on earth. We don't remember, oh, I'm here to learn to forgive and to do all the things. We don't know these things, we forget them all. So we get back here, so what has to happen? Well, this same soul, happens to be my father, has to do something that would make me very resentful and make me need to forgive him. So even as children, when these things are happening to us, there's purposefulness in everything. There is purposefulness in all of it. So this life, well, there's so much purposefulness in all of it, but resolving that forgiveness that I didn't give him in that other life had to be resolved then in this life. So then he had to do something that I would then have to forgive him for. So he is not this bad, evil person who's done this thing to me. No, this is a gift for me to help me to learn and grow. When you shift your perspective, which is easy for me to do because of the work that I do, it's all subconscious. So this is soul level work. Because when we are doing this work, we are getting rid of the world that's all around you, and we are dealing with the situation at a soul level. It's completely different than doing this at a conscious level, right? Because our conscious mind has all these beliefs and rules and things and blah, 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 and our subconscious mind is our soul, and it does not have any of those things. It has all of your memories, it has all your emotions, all of it is stored in there, as well as all of your trauma and all of the information and the knowledge that you've gained through several lives. Now, here's the deal. Some people do not believe in past lives, which is totally cool. Doesn't matter. Believe whatever you want. I didn't used to believe in them either. And the only reason that I do now is, because of the Christ letters. But way before that is because of the work that I do. So I would have children come to me and I would regress them back, as I do with every person, meaning I'm taking them back to the beginning of whatever their issue is. And often they would go back to past lives, which I was like, this is fascinating. Not every time, 30% of the time with kids. With adults, I would say it's 1 or 2 in every 100 that might regress back to a past life. And I would really, sometimes that will just pop up. So I'm saying that this is 1 to 2 in 100 that I'll regress them back, and that is what will just happen to pop up. But sometimes with adults, I will be intuitively guided, and I'll just ask, is this even from this life? If it feels like it's not, is this from this life, or was this here when you were born? And then I'll be able to know from their answer whether we need to go and look at a past life or not. So anyways, the awareness of what comes just by viewing a past life changes things for people. It will change physical ailments that someone maybe felt like they were born with, that they've always had this feeling, this sensation, this pain, this cough, this whatever it happens to be. If it is something that you don't ever remember not having it, more than likely it's from a past life. Now, there's no way to prove that past lives are real. There's no way to scientifically prove this. And who cares? We don't need to, because really it could be the DNA that is passed down through your body. Maybe you're carrying your ancestors' memories. Why these memories that are so vivid and detailed and heal people, why they come up, no idea. There's no way to prove any of this with science. However, the proof is in the pudding, that when people come and then they go back to a past life and all of a sudden their issue's not there anymore, just through the awareness, through the seeing, through the knowledge of it, and it cures their issue, I guess who cares what the belief is in it or not in it? If it heals them, then that is the important part, and that's what actually matters. So when dealing with our life, we will make excuses and we will play the victim, and we will say, well, no, I didn't do anything to cause that. And anybody that gets really worked up and really defensive, 1,000,000%, it's what you're being told is correct. It is only when we don't want to see this, when we are living in a state of unawareness, that we get really defensive about things. But when we heal our ego, which is a earthly problem, our ego is here to protect us and to keep us safe and to give us individuality and blah, 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 but our ego can cause a lot of problems. And it, to me, is the visible manifestation of that person's insecurities, is what you are seeing in a person when they have a big ego and they get defensive about something. So let's say that you have gone through something that is super traumatic, something horrific. First of all, I'm so sorry that this has happened to you. Now, here's the deal. Let me give you another example. So when I was, I don't know if I was 14, 15, maybe something along those lines, I was raped. And so, did I do anything to deserve that? I don't believe so. Why did this happen? You could go into all those things and you could play victim to it. But playing the victim role leaves no room for growth or for learning. Absolutely none. And when you're in this victim role, it is a spiritual process. You're in it right now for a reason, but you're only in it because of your unawareness. But the suffering that comes is necessary and needed for that personal growth, right? Because if you have something that has been detrimental, you've been betrayed, there's been some kind of betrayal, there's been some type of something, it causes, through the choices that you make, depending on what your mind is thinking about, whether you have control of your mind or not, through the choices that you make, you can harm yourself or you can heal yourself. Now, most often when someone goes through some type of emotional trauma, like an abusive relationship or something along those lines, they want to heal, they want to get better, right? And it is through that process of needing to heal, I need to make this better, that people start to seek things. And typically, when nothing else works, they will seek a spiritual means for that healing. And this is connected to our higher purpose. So that suffering, the period of being a victim, which you're not, because it's karma returned from a past life or some agreement that you made so that you could learn a lesson or whatever it happens to be, and somebody's got to play the bad guy in this role. And what a gift that is for you, that somebody knowingly came here to play that role for you. But as you heal this thing to end the suffering, this is where the growth comes from. But as long as we are stuck in the victim mentality, we will believe that the abuse, we didn't deserve it and whatever. And I'm not saying anybody deserves abuse. You don't deserve it. But growth, personal growth, spiritual growth can come from it. Now, I'm not saying go out and induce some kind of suffering in your life. No, we're talking about the laws of the universe so that we can change this, so that next time you come around here and for the remainder of this life, you can be in actual pure love, divine alignment. Okay, so let's just say here, you were born into an abusive family. Okay, maybe your father, maybe your mother, whatever, somebody, sibling, whatever. Now, there will be a whole bunch of beliefs that come from this experience. These beliefs are typically something that leaves you feeling like you're not worthy or deserving of love, or something along those lines, right? If you were not loved properly, your mind, because it thinks all day long, it doesn't shut off, will come up with reasons why this happened. Oh, you're not valuable. Oh, you're not worthy. Oh, you're whatever it happens to be. Okay, so what plays out now, because you have this belief that you're holding within you from the time that you were a little child because of this abusive relationship that you had in your environment, when that belief is present, it then plays out because your mind, your consciousness, returns back to it the frequency that it sent it out. So if you believe that you're not valuable, that holds a certain frequency. And so as you put it out, things will magnetize to you that are along that same frequency. So then you'll have another relationship come in that feels exactly the same as the abusive parent relationship. If you don't heal that, if you don't grow from it, that relationship will end and you will repeat the pattern again and again and again. It is only through shifting and changing the underlying beliefs that are present that you then stop that repeated pattern and you change it to something that is of higher frequency and will allow you to see your worthiness and your value in a different, higher frequency light. And then through that new vibration that you were holding, your belief in, of course I'm valuable, of course I'm worthy, as you're sending that out, new things that are the same frequency as that will be magnetized into your life. It will give you proof of your value and your worthiness because of this new belief that you're holding within your system. So we are not victims of our reality, but we are the creator of them. Some people don't like this. The universe operates on a law of cause and effect. Jesus called it reaping and sowing. He would always look to the countryside to give examples to the people so he could explain to them what it was that he was saying. He was saying that when you plant seeds, you're going to harvest them. And what he was talking about was consciousness seeds. So he says to a man, he says, now, what would you do if you were busy, but your neighbor came to you and asked you to go and walk a mile with him? He said, well, I would tell him I was busy and to go and find someone else. And he goes, okay. And what would happen when later you needed your neighbor to walk a mile with you and he told you no? And someone yelled from the crowd, oh, he would swear at him. To which Jesus answered, you're right. He would forget that his neighbor came to him and asked him to walk a mile, and he refused him. When things are returned back to us, there has often been a lag, a period of time in between what you sent out and what is returned back. This is explained at the very start of the Bible in Genesis, how this works. And because of that lag period, because of that time between creating it and it actually existing, becoming actual visible matter in your life, because of that lag period, we often forget during this time. And because we forgot during this time, then when that thing happens to us, we're so pissed and angry about it, when all it is our own consciousness being returned back to us. The frequency that we sent out to somebody else, the thing that we did to somebody else. So I have had clients go back. So they will, this one thing is bothering them, this thing is bothering them. Okay, so then I get them into state, theta state, and then have them go and search their consciousness for that same frequency being sent out by them, or the exact same thing that they have done to somebody else being then returned back to them. And there has never been a time, not one time, not once, that wasn't the case. Their consciousness created it first, and it is then manifest and then returned back. Maybe they would have to go and search and find it in a past life. Maybe they would whatever. So far that has not actually been the case. It would be present in this life, and it would be a way, it could even be a way of thinking, because your frequencies are your thoughts. So if you are worried all the time, if you're living in fear then, right? If you worry about things, it is a fear-based consciousness that consumes you. And through that fear, all those fears, you send them out, and typically we speak words that are in alignment with those thoughts. We will tell other people. Why? Because sometimes people believe when they speak it out loud and they share with others their worried thoughts that they will find comfort in it, or that it will take that worry away from them, or they're trying to spread it to someone else to just make themselves feel better, to feel a feeling of relief. But it is through this, through the thought and then that spoken word, that it then is created. It doesn't mean that it exists yet. As the Bible says in the start, that the beginning was the Word and blah, 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 and all these things, and it says it was created, but then later on it goes on to say, but these things didn't yet exist. So it is telling you there is a lag time between the thought and the spoken word and the creation of it. So people go around blaming other people when it is their own fearful thoughts, which is mentioned 365 times in the Bible. Do not fear because of this reason. You reap as you sow. It is told 365 times, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, because you are sending out the frequency of fear, of worry. And as we discussed before, you're going to get back things that are fearful and worrisome. When you send that frequency out, it is unavoidable. It is unavoidable. You don't just get to choose, I want to manifest this and I don't want to manifest this. And if you give them equal focus and equal concentration of what you don't want and what you do want, you're going to get both of them back. Whatever it is that you don't want, the universe doesn't hear the don't. It feels that feeling of, oh, I don't want that. And that carries a very powerful, forceful vibration of, oh, I don't want this. And you're sending it out, and then you get something that feels exactly like, oh, I didn't want this, back to you. This is why worrying makes us actually physically sick. It depletes our body of its energy stores. It actually takes away our life force energy, and you will end up with physical ailments. You will end up with diseases, and you ultimately can die from it. From thought. So it's very important what you decide to think about throughout a day, because it's the be all and end all consciousness is of your experience here on earth. It's the be all and end all of everything. You can't escape your consciousness. It's constantly there. So really start to love your consciousness. Just start to love it and give it love. And if there's anything that you need to let go of, work on letting it go. And if there's unawareness of, oh, I don't know what it is that I need to let go of, set an intention, meaning just set out the thought and the belief that I'm going to be made aware of something that I need to let go of within the next couple of days. And just put that intention out there, and I guarantee you it will come to you. It will come back to you, and you'll be like, oh, that's the thing. I didn't even think of that. And it'll come to you, and then you can work on letting it go. Because as long as we are in a state of unawareness of the things that we need to let go of, the things that are hindering us and keeping us from that pure divine love that exists within every molecule, energetic particle, every cell, every tiny little bit of space within the universe, as long as we're out of alignment with that, we are not going to be happy and joyful and lives filled with laughter and fulfillment, and it is sustainable when you are in this divine alignment, the goodness that comes to you. And as long as you're unaware of the things that are keeping you from that, you won't be able to get to it. So just set an intention here. This is the practice that you can do today. Set an intention that you will become aware of whatever it is that you need to let go of over the next couple of days. Thanks for listening to me, guys. I love y'all so much. Please like this video, share it, turn on your notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. I love you all, and I will see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.